Hi, I'm Deborah.
And I'm Lawrence.
And in this video, we're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder.
Something I'm pretty sure I'm dealing with right now, so that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's also known as winter blues and seasonal depression.
The second term is definitely, well, winter blues probably isn't as medical, but
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is that it's not just in the winter. It's much more common in the winter, but there actually are people who have it in the late spring, summer, and early fall. Now, seasonal affective disorder that we're talking about is obviously the cold weather, since we're doing this in the cold weather. And so for a lot of people, that starts mid to late fall, then goes through winter and early spring.
it's odd for me because I vastly prefer cold weather. So you'd think that, I would be getting depressed in the summer instead.
Well, the interesting thing is when you say cold is that people who have the summer seasonal affective disorder, one of the ways to deal with it is to stay cool. So there's a lot we don't understand about it. So it's one of the most recently diagnosed forms of depression. And by recently, I mean it's, I believe, 30 or maybe even 40 years old.
We have very different perceptions of time.
Yeah. I got a lot more decades behind me. But so, yeah, it was first diagnosed or the diagnosis was created by someone named Norman Rosenthal. And so basically, it's thought to be because of the shorter days. And I actually know someone who moved to Hawaii from like Chicago or something and is doing much better now. So that's pretty extreme. Most people aren't going to move somewhere else. Although for us, we moved from the East Coast and we actually literally get more sunshine every day. So it definitely is a plus being somewhere where you're going to get more sunshine. So the thing is that it's kind of hard to diagnose. If you realize that, or you realize you or someone else and goes through this cycle where things are much worse for them in when the days are short, basically, then that's something definitely to look at. I think in some ways this is a really pertinent video to do because a lot of us, because of the pandemic, are not getting as much sun. I mean, just your everyday going to work or going to school, you usually get more sun. And more people are doing outside activities. I mean, I know that, my highlights have gone away because when I'm at work at lunchtime, I walk around outside on campus. So, and you're when you're going to school, you're outside more because you're like sitting outside with your friends.
Sure.
And, just things like waiting outside for us to pick him up. I mean, that's just a few minutes, but it's a few more minutes than he's getting now. So a lot of people may be suffering from lack of sun. And the thing is, one thing to think about with that is, first of all, make sure you're getting enough vitamin D. We're actually taking vitamin D supplements. But also realize that might be having an effect on you all year round, not just in the winter. For instance, when I started working at an office where I got basically very little sun every day, except for when I went out. And so that started affecting my mood. So you always want to get diagnosed with any type of depression and not just treat it yourself. But the good thing is that you can treat this by getting more light. So, if you get diagnosed and your doctor says, I'm going to have you do light therapy, it could be as simple as sitting outside, a certain amount of time per day, or you could get one of these.
And we apologize for the condition of it. This is old and unused because
I actually got it for you and you didn't like the light.
Yeah, because it made it really hard to see my monitors. At the time, it was a singular monitor.
Yeah,
I will
and there
say that.
actually is also another one. There's like a blue light one that I had for a while that I used when I was at this job where I wasn't getting much light. It's also somewhat complicated. Like, you don't want to do light therapy by yourself, just saying, "Oh, I'm going to get one of these and that's it." There are a lot of things you have to consider. You have to consider the length of time. If you spend too much time in front of it, you can actually, some people, not a lot of people, but some people have become manic, because the thing is, then if too much sun, you could then go into what the seasonal affective disorder part of that problem is that you know, depending on your predisposition, is you could become manic. So again, this is something you really want to do under the care of a doctor. If that's not possible, then the next best thing that's less dangerous and less complicated is just trying to get sunlight every day, trying to get more. I mean, basically, it has to come in through your eyes. So you can't be sitting like this. Your eyes need to be getting it, because that's where whatever happens that, you know, that keeps us from being depressed, when we're getting enough light in the right direction. So, for instance, with light therapy, you need to have it at a certain angle for maximum effect. Sometimes seasonal affective disorder is treated with antidepressants. So that's something, you know, if you're talking about a severe seasonal affective disorder, then, you know, the light therapy isn't instantaneous. So if this is, you know, you or someone else, then the thing is, you know, is, as I said again, go and see a doctor, because it takes a while for light therapy to work. If it does, it doesn't work for everyone. It didn't work for you. And the other thing is, what makes it really complicated this year is that there's a certain level of depression for almost everyone because of the pandemic. And also, you know, the fact is that we didn't have a normal holiday season.
No.
There's a lot of stuff that's affecting a lot of different people. So it may be coinciding with this time of the year where it's beginning to really hit people, or things are getting bad or whatever.
Essentially, everything's a mess right now.
Yeah. So the thing is, obviously, talk to a doctor, but also look back over the past few years. Was this a pattern? So, for instance, it used to happen to me as a pattern when I lived in the Northeast, and so I literally would find something for myself to do in November, because to me that seemed like the worst month. So I'd find something to look forward to. Like one time I got a ticket for the Monet exhibit that was in Boston. So, like, when I looked back, I could see that it was very clear to me that November for me started being really bad, and, you know, went through till like April or so. You know, with Connecticut and Massachusetts not being places that get a whole lot of light compared to other parts of the country. So, you know, do you, for instance, start feeling better if you go on a tropical vacation or go to Florida? If you're going anywhere that's closer to the equator than when you normally are, do you feel better if you've been there a week or so? So, you know, that's another thing. As I said, I, you know, knew someone who actually moved to Hawaii to handle this.
I mean, the environment when we went to Florida sure as hell didn't cheer me up. God, the air, the air.
Yeah.
It's a little off topic, but
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I grew up in California, but the air, Jesus, it was impossible to breathe.
Yeah, it's very humid. I mean, the thing is, though, if despite the fact that you may be uncomfortable, you still feel better, then, you know, and it's not,
you somehow
just,
found a way to loop it back.
If it lasts a little while after your vacation, then that's pretty clear that you need to talk to a doctor about this. So the symptoms for seasonal affective disorder, especially in winter, are slightly different from regular depression. One of the things, which is a symptom but actually is kind of tough to say is a symptom because it happens to a lot of people, is eating a lot more carbs. So this actually happens to a lot of people when it's almost like we're hibernating. You know, we start putting on weight, and you know, but and of course with the holidays, there's carbs and lots of carbs. But, so that's one thing. If you notice like a fairly strong craving for carbs, then that could be one sign. Another thing that might distinguish it from just regular, it's winter and the days are short and I hate it, is change in sleep patterns. So it could be any kind of changes, and not necessarily just sleeping longer. For everyone, it's hard getting up when it's dark. And, when it gets dark, you kind of, it may be maybe just, the way we've always been as humans, when it gets dark, it's telling us, go to sleep.
For me, I wouldn't be able to tell because my sleep schedule is always awful.
Yes, that's true. So the big clue is the seasonality. And, this might be something that it takes a little while to remember, but you could also look back, at, if you have calendars or something like that, anything that marked your time, or, things in the past few years, if you notice that not only is there a big change when the days get shorter, but you notice you're much better when the days have gotten longer. So that's definitely as good a clue as, do you start feeling crappy? Do you start feeling much better, when in wherever you live, you start getting really long days. And also, of course, when it's nicer, then people start getting outside. So it's, it's again, something that basically you have to look at the pattern and see what's been going on with that.
So, hope you enjoyed. If you did, you can give the video a like. If you didn't, you can give it a dislike. If you want to say anything at all, you can put it in the form of a comment. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe. But in any case, we hope that you have a nice day.
Take care.
I need to buy like a lint roller because this I need to wash separately because it got all over my clothes.
Well, also if you're going to wash it with clothes, and turn the clothes inside out.
Ooh, true.
Yeah.